Okay. So some people love these days. Some people hate these days. You know, it is what it is. So this is numero 20. Isn't 20 like venti? Does anybody know? Isn't 20 like venti in Spanish? Viente. Venti, like my coffee? Yeah, but that's why they call it a venti, is because it's 20. 20 ounces of coffee. Like this is literally a 20-ounce coffee. Oh no, it's 26. A grande is just okay. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so for constructing a congruent angle. So chapter 1, we did construct a copy of a segment. So we copied a segment, and then we did a perpendicular bisector of a segment. This chapter is about angles, okay? So we're copying an angle, and then we're going to bisect an angle. A lot of people really like this one, the second one. So we're going to do this one first because this one's super easy, and you're going to really like this one. The front one is a little bit harder, so we're going to do the back first. So for an angle bisector, and this has step-by-steps, we're going to be given an angle basically, and then we're going to make an arc. And then based on our arc, we're going to make a little arc mark. And then we're going to make another little arc mark. And then an angle bisector is splitting an angle in half. So on your picture, I want you to add a little 20 degree here. If that was 20 degrees, the other side would also be 20 degrees, which means the original angle would have been 40 degrees. So we are taking our angle and we're splitting it in half. Angle bisectors will go by really fast. This is really nice and easy peasy lemon squeezy. So down at the bottom, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw an arc going through both rays. So we're going to start by putting our compass, our needle, which is this part right here. Remember your circle with your circle. Remember, if you kind of like hold it like this, it should kind of like wiggle around. The slider, remember, if you have this kind, it like tightens or loosens. What's up? There on the bin in the back, right by the door. So you are going to put your compass on Q. And just like last time, we are going to put our finger on this. Remember, if you lay your hand like flat like this, it's not really going to move. So you want to kind of like hover your finger over it a little bit. Boop. And then we have to expand our slider more than half the distance of the line. So it's not going to be out here. It's going to be more than half the distance of the line. So I'm going to go about halfway, and then I'm just going to go a little bit more than halfway. So like 3/4 of the way, I guess. It doesn't have to be like exact. It's just like eyeball assumption. And then we're going to make an arc that goes through both rays. And while we're doing this, if your neighbor is struggling, please help them, because I am one person and there's like 30 of you. So me running around like a crazy person doesn't really help anybody. So especially with drawings like this, some people either get this really fast and some people like are a little slow at it, which is fine. So we're going to put our pencil in here. I put my needle here. Put my finger here, and I'm going to draw an arc going through my angle on both sides. So take a second, make your arc. Remember, if you're drawing on a binder or a folder, it's going to be a little bit harder. So you should be using just the table under you. If anything's underneath it, it's going to like catch to the paper, or if you're writing on like the blue laminated things, it's going to catch to that. Okay. So I put my thing on Q and I made an arc going through it. Once you have your arc, we are going to take our needle and we're going to put it on this bottom intersection, because this is actually like a point right here that we just found, that we created. So I am not using R. I am not using P. I'm using the points that I created. So I'm going to use this point. I'm going to put my compass on that point. So you should see your little intersection. Put my finger on there. And then I'm making an arc mark. Think about your angle as like an alligator's mouth. So you want your alligator to eat your arc mark. So I'm going to put my finger here and I'm going to make a little arc in front of his mouth, as if he was going to chomp it and eat it. Yes. It doesn't have to be necessarily inside the line. It could be out here. Is yours out here? Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't move my slider at all. You can move your slider though if you want. Like you can make your arc and then move your slider. What's up? Do you have a question? Is it over here? It's out here? That's fine. If it's out here, as long as it looks like it's going to be in his mouth, then you are fine. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing. I just put it here and I made an arc mark here. Boop, boop. I'm going to do the same thing with this intersection. So I'm going to move my compass to this point that I created. And I'm going to make an arc mark going in his mouth again. Your little arc marks should cross paths. So I put my compass on this intersection. And then I just used the same slider distance and just went whoop. Are you tightening your slider? One of the push ones? That one sucks. I think you should use the white one, if you can get a white one, or if you get the clear, colorful one. Elise, hold that up really quick. Like, if you can get one of these clear ones, those are the best. If you have one of these, like, ones that look like this one's broken, but if you have one of the ones that's like a solid color that's not see-through, these ones the school bought, and these ones are terrible. Like, they like break after like twice. So if you, yeah, they were like bought the cheapest ones. Yeah, literally. These are the ones that I bought, and then I also bought those ones, the clear ones. Actually, your mom bought me those ones. Woo!
Is there just a process of like?
Yeah. Yeah, like 4 years ago. So now I'm going to connect where they cross at. I'm going to connect this point to point Q. So I'm going to draw a line going straight through the middle. So if it's multiple choice, kind of like chapter 1 test was multiple choice for constructions, if it ever says the word ruler to do anything, it's automatically incorrect. You're never using a ruler to measure anything. You're always using a compass. So this bisects the angle. So if this was like, I don't know, 30 degrees, then this would also be 30 degrees, meaning the whole thing is 60. Yeah. So we're going to do the same thing on the obtuse angle. Yeah, it's going to be a little awkward. Yeah, I look like. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing for the obtuse angle. Obtuse angles are always awkward, just so you know. So we are gonna start by drawing a big arc. It should go through both sides of your angle. So I'm gonna go all the way over. Now, if you made your arc a little, oh, look, that went through perfectly through J. That's just a coinkydink. It doesn't have to go through J. If your arc went past this ray, did that happen to anybody's where it didn't cross? Okay. So all you're going to do is you have to just go back and make your line a little bit longer using your straight edge. So you might just have to do a little extendo. Okay. So now that I have my arc, I'm going to move my compass down here. And because my alligator has a really big mouth, I need to move my slider out a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to move my slider out a little bit so that way it's in the middle of his mouth. So think about like you're making an angle bisector, so you need it to be in the center of his mouth. So I made one arc, I put the needle here, and I made an arc going out. You want your arc to be towards the middle of his mouth because he is moving right along and he's going to eat it. So once I make this arc, I'm going to slide it over. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to put my, and you're not using point J, you're using wherever your arc connected with your angle. Mine just so happens to be point J. It's a coinkydink. That's fine. Did they cross? Because it's obtuse, so it's awkward and ugly.
Bye.
Yeah.
You don't know that? I know. Why are you
Yeah.
Because he doesn't, you know, he only eats eggs. He only eats eggs. He only eats.
Okay. So it should look like it's cutting through the middle. Boop. So if this was like 60 degrees, this would be like 60 degrees. So the whole thing's like 120. Okay. So it should kind of look, and obviously you're new to this. This is brand new. We haven't done these before. So if it's looking a little crazy, we're going to practice anyways. But it should, the idea of an angle bisector is it's splitting the angle in half because it's bisecting it. Let's go to the front. That's cute. Oh. Let's go to the front and let's do copy an angle. So, and if you're ever lost, you could look at your steps and read your steps. The first thing is I start with an angle. This is the angle that I start with. The first step is I'm going to draw a ray. Once I have my ray drawn, I'm going to draw an arc. And whatever I do on one side, I bring over and I have to do on the other side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my arc and I'm going to make a little ray. What is this? Arc mark, sorry. And then I'm bring it over here and make the same arc mark. And then that's going to connect it to make the angle. So for this one, first step is we're going to make a point. Let's call it P prime, meaning the new P. And then I'm going to draw a ray. So I'm going to just draw a line going off to the side. So use your straight edge to draw a line, which is really the ruler, but we never call it a ruler. It's a straight edge. So draw a dot, draw a line. Okay. Once we have our dot and our line, the second step, if you look at the little pictures, they'll help you. We need to draw an arc, and then we're going to bring it over and we're going to draw the arc on the other one because we're copying this. So coming back to this, I'm going to put my compass on point P. I'm going to close my slider because right now it's way too big. It's past the arrow. So I'm going to go a little bit more than half the distance. And I'm going to draw an arc that goes through, just like we just did, going through both sides of the angle. So when you draw your arc, you're going to bring the same thing. What I do over here, I do over here. So I'm going to bring it to P prime. And I'm going to make the same arc over here. The points on this side, technically, let's like use what's after P in the alphabet? Q? Am I right? PQ? Yeah. So let's call this Q. This will be Q prime. Up top where this point is, PQR, this will be R. We have to find where R prime is at. We don't know where it's at yet because we're going to need an intersection to figure out where R is at on our picture. So the whole point of this is I'm copying the angle. I need to know how wide the angle is. So I need to figure out the distance from here to here. You're never using a ruler to measure the distance. You're using a compass. So we're going to use the compass to figure out the distance from here to here. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put it on Q. And I'm going to close my slider so that way I can see R through my little circle. So you are closing it. And make sure you tighten it. Because you're measuring that distance, you're making an arc mark to represent, hey, I have done this. I have measured this length. So I'm going to use a different color. So I'm going to put a little arc mark. Boop. And what I do to one side, I'm going to do the same thing over here. So Q prime, I used Q, I found R. Now I'm going to Q prime, I'm going to find R prime. So I'm going to bring it over, make the little arc mark. Boop. where these two intersect is R prime. So take a second. That's the key to this, is like you have to make your little arc. On the EOC, they will have the arcs there. You just need to know which one, like what it's making, or like what would be the next step. So what would be the next step to this? What would I have to do? What's up? So where I put my arc here, did you make your arc on this one? So you bring it over here and you make the same arc over here. So you put it on Q and then you make the same arc. Whoop. Where they cross represents R prime. So what would be the next step? What would I have to do? If I'm copying the line, what do you think I'm going to have to do? What 2 points do I have to connect? P and R, because I'm drawing an angle. So I'm going to have to connect these two to have that last step showing that I copied it. So if this one was, I don't know, we'll say 40 degrees. This one would also be 40 degrees because I'm literally copying the same thing just over. So what you do to one picture, you have to do to the other picture. So as you do something, you move it over, you do it the same thing. Then you do something else, and then you move it over. Then you do something else, you move it over. What's up? Yeah. But the only thing you don't have to do twice is draw the line. So the first step for number 2, let's do it again. We are going to start by making, you have Q, so we're going to make Q prime. I'm going to draw a line using my straight edge. So draw a ray. It's technically what it's called, is a ray. Oof. Anybody know what I have to do next? Make an arc. So we're going to, like windshield wiper, it's obtuse, so it's going to be huge. So I'm going to make an arc that goes all the way through both sides. So put your compass on Q. You're going more than half the distance of your line. Okay. So if I make my arc, I have this like massive thing. And if you look at mine, mine went over that because it's obtuse and it's a little awkward. So if this happens on your paper, it's totally fine. I'm just going to extend my original angle a little bit. Just so that way I can see where it would cross. Yeah, you're good. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So because I made that arc, I'm going to make the same arc over here. It's obtuse. So literally go all the way. So that way it's going to be somewhere over here because it's going to be massive. So once I have my big windshield wiper arc, what do I do next? You find the distance. Oh, should we add our letters? Q, R. Let's put R. Let's call this S. We're just making up stuff right now. So we have Q prime. This is R prime. I have to find S prime. So I'm going to measure the distance from R to S using the compass. And that's going to be what I mark over here as well, because I need to know where S is going to go. So if I put my compass on R, I'm opening all the way to S. Right now, it's not open to S. I have to open it all the way because it's obtuse, so it's massive. So I'm going all the way. S is right there. And then I'm making an arc mark like I've measured this. That's the distance from there to there. So because I went from R to S, I'm going to go from R prime to something, and that something is going to be S prime, where they crisscross. So right here is S prime. And then the last step, I'm going to connect S prime to Q prime, which is copying the angle. There you go. So if this was 160 degrees, this would also be 160 degrees because you're copying it. It's literally the same. So the second piece of paper is literally just practice. So if you want to start on your practice, we're also going to do this tomorrow. Tomorrow you have testing, so make sure you bring your computers charged and your charger for whoever you're testing with. What's up? Huh? I thought you had a question.
Yeah.
No, because you're not taking my compass home. So, yeah, so start it now and then I'll give you time to work on it tomorrow. Because tomorrow's testing anyway, so I'm not gonna really be teaching because I'm not gonna see my second, I'm not gonna see my third, I'm not gonna see my fourth period. So I'm not gonna teach anything new tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll have like a chill, finish your constructions. Maybe I'll pass out papers, you can organize your binders.